Did you know that the average church in Zambia is made up of 60 to 70% young people? And that's the demographic of the whole nation. But when it comes to youth ministry, we get to realize a significant drop. When it comes to youth ministry, only 5 to 10% of young people in the church actually attend youth group. If you don't take my word for it, go and do a survey in your own church. Why is it that so many young people don't attend our youth programs? So whenever I'm consulting, and I consult with many churches, both big and small and large, urban and rural churches as well, on how to help them have more effective youth ministry and more effective church ministry as a whole. And one of the things that I do is I run a question or a survey every time I start to speak, and I ask them how many young people do they think are in their church. And usually a church of 300 would say that they have around 200 young people. And then I said, how many of those young people actually attend youth meeting? And the number significantly drops, and most of the time there's usually a and a huge silence, because most people are actually ashamed to say what actually happens. In a church of about 200 people, you may have only about 20 to 50, and 50 is being very conservative. You have less than 50 young people attending youth ministry or youth meetings every week. So why is it that young people do not attend youth meetings? So most of the times when I do a survey, I try and ask the youth leaders or the youth pastors to tell me what happens at the youth meeting. So if I was a young person and I came to the youth meeting, what was I going to expect to happen? And this is what they tell me. They tell me there will be prayer. They tell me there will be a sermon. They tell me there will be giving. There will be announcements and all sorts of things. And when I asked them, I said, what does that look like to you? Most of them get the joke and they laugh and say, that sounds like a typical church service. Exactly. And that's the biggest challenge with most youth meetings or most youth groups in the country. Most of them are run like a typical church service. That means if I come there, I'm just expected to sit down, listen, and maybe at some point in time have a bit of a Bible study. There's no order, there's no planning necessarily. It's just the same old, same old. Now, we're living in an unprecedented time where there's so many resources and there's so many things to keep young people distracted. They've got Netflix, they've got computers, they've got laptops, they've got video games, they can go to the mall. All these things are fighting for their attention, and you tell a young person to give up his Saturday afternoon to go to a church service. Another church service? Maybe that's one of the major reasons why young people are not going or attending youth meetings. It's simply because it's boring. Now, one day, I remember doing a training with a church that I will not mention, but a pretty big church in Lusaka, and they invited me to consult on how they can make their youth meeting more effective. So what I did do is that I started by modeling something without telling them. I got them to do icebreakers and get to know each other, games, and after that, they got to find out how each other's week has been through interactive games and talks and all of that. And they ended up praying for each other, and they ended up worshiping. And at the end, I gave a bit of an encouraging word. And I asked them, I said, what have I just done? For about 30 minutes or so, they had done a youth program that was so interactive that could tick each of those boxes. But they had done it in such a way that it was so much fun, and they didn't even realize that they were in a simulation. So it's very possible for you to have an effective youth program. There's a lot of resources online to help you plan your services. That means lesson plans, that means games, that means feedback, that means discussion, worship, and all of that. All of these resources are available online. I'll obviously put some links in the bio, but please keep tuned, sign up and follow me.